Hi everyone! In this video we're going to continue talking about inverse functions and relations. Specifically, we're going to talk about the function notation and how to algebraically write a function in the inverse as its inverse. We want to get the inverse function. Okay, so the first thing that we have is normal function notation. What you've known that we've done so far in Algebra 2 is we took and we say function notation means we're going to write f of x instead of y equals. Okay, so that's the proper function notation. And then inverse notation is very similar. We say f, put a little -1, almost like it's an exponent, f inverse of x here. So notice I said f inverse of x. All right, so if we're going to write the inverse function and we're given an original function, all we have to do is first change the function notation back to a y equals, switch the x and y's, just like in the last video we learned that the x and y's switch when you graph them. And then we're going to solve for y and rewrite, once you solve for y, rewrite that y as f inverse of x. So starting with this problem, we're going to change it, start with step 1, write it as y equals. So y equals 2/3 x plus 2. Now switch the x and the y. So now I'm going to have an x here. X equals 2/3 y plus 2. Now we need to solve for y, so we need to get everything away from this y right here. So I need to subtract off 2, subtract off 2. What you do to one side, you must do to the other. So we have x minus 2 equals 2/3 y. And I need to get rid of this fraction. It's being multiplied by y. Remember, to get rid of it, you would divide by the fraction, but dividing by a fraction is multiplying by its reciprocal. So we're going to multiply by 3/2 on this side, and all on this side, 3/2. Now notice I put parentheses around it because there was more than just x over here. There was an entire set of information, x minus 2, that needed to be multiplied by this 3/2. Okay, so we're going to go ahead, these would cancel out because it would be 6/6, which is just 1, and 1y is just y. Okay, 3/2 times x is 3/2x, and 3/2 times a -2 would just be -3 because those 2's, the denominator would cancel out with this 2. All right, the last step says write using inverse function notation. Well, the y is the inverse function, and I'm going to go ahead and put it out in front now. So I'm going to say the y is now f inverse of x equals this information, 3/2 x minus 3. 3/2x minus 3. And there you have it. We just wrote a problem in inverse. We just wrote the inverse of the given function. Let's go to this one. Same steps. Y equals, well, I'm going to go ahead and distribute this in 3x minus 21. Okay? And then we need to switch the x and the y's, or the x and the y. So x equals 3y minus 21. Okay, move the 21 away from the y because we're solving for y now. Plus 21 plus 21. So we have x plus 21 equals 3y. We need to get the y by itself, so we're going to divide by 3, and just leave this. So we've got y equals this x plus 21 divided by 3. So I'm going to say f inverse of x equals x plus 21 over 3. And there you have it. we have just written this given function in inverse notation. And remember the inverse, if I said what's the inverse of addition, you would say subtraction. If I said what's the inverse of multiplication, you'd say division. The inverse of squaring a number is square rooting a number. So the inverse will undo. An inverse will undo. Will undo what has been done. So keep that in mind. Some people think the word opposite, but I would like for you to think of undo when you think of inverse. All right, that's it for this video. Make sure that you follow the next step in your module and ask me if you have any questions. Talk to you soon.